I speak?
If you need to.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It is that, for those who don't know me, is that I'm David Thornton. I'm Advertising Director of the Isle of Wight County Press. It is that today with me is Vincent Boney. Vincent is Regional MD for NewsQuest, covering Dorset and Hampshire. But a few things that we'd like to share with you today is that we want to bring you up to speed with what's been going on at the County Press. Is that firstly, we're going to talk about in terms of some of the developments of the product as it stands now and what its strength is in terms of as a print product and also as a website. We're also going to then let Vincent introduce in terms of who NewsQuest are. Some of you may know the name, some of you know what it's about, some of you may not even have heard of NewsQuest. So this is going to share a bit about what NewsQuest is and what it's kind of bringing to the County Press from the acquisition NewsQuest has made. Is that, and then key on top of that, of course, is how that could hopefully benefit, and we expect to benefit, business across the Isle of Wight. So first of all, in terms of the County Press, it's been a very, very good year for us. It's that we're very proud to say is that we now engage with more people than we've ever done before across our print products and also across our website. Is that our website has been developed over the past 12 months, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Is that, but in terms of its audience and its reach, is that we're now engaged with over 200,000 or 240,000 unique users on a monthly basis. We also are proud to say now is that we're the largest weekly newspaper published in the UK in terms of copies sold. Across the Isle of Wight as a whole, is that we're reaching and engaging with 91% of the island community on a regular basis. And the important thing is that if you look to the print and the digital products together, in terms of our sort of combined audience, that we've never been stronger, and we're a great medium, of course, to reach the mass audience across the Isle of Wight. So it's been a 12 months of big development for us, and certainly in terms of growing audience. So in terms of the newspaper product, is that I just picked out a couple of areas here where we've tried to really strengthen in terms of what is a kind of cornerstone of our philosophy and attitude with our printed product. Is that so community is very, very important to us. Is that so in sort of recent months is that we've really enhanced our kind of community news side of things. We've launched what you would have seen as what we call CP Local. So these are very regional kind of editorial news pages. Is that, and we've put reporters into these particular territories, if you like, to champion news in those particular areas. And we run a number of CP Local pages right across the island. And with our business news coverage, is that we used to be publish business news on a fortnightly basis. And we've turned that now into being a weekly product, so we can get business news served to our community on a weekly basis. From a digital point of view, been lots and lots of change to our website. It is that powered by our colleagues from Matrix. Is that we turned our site into what's termed fully responsive. So in simple terms, that means is that whatever device you happen to be looking at the website on, is that the website automatically formats to suit that particular device. And what you can see as well is that from the sort of format, if you look at the big picture on the right hand side, is that what it shows in that sort of desktop version is that we've made the site much more what you might term modular. Is that you will see that on things like the BBC site. So in other words, it's done in kind of much more kind of units of news, which makes it much more easier on the eye and a bit more sort of digestible. So we've really developed our kind of website offering over the past 12 months. And alongside that as well is that we've got much more involved in the kind of social media interaction. Some of you in the room might be kind of followers on Facebook or might be followers on Twitter. And you can see from the numbers on the screen there in terms of the development and the strength we have in that particular area. We tend to use a lot more now on our Facebook page in terms of teasing or putting out sort of snippets of news as a link to bring people back into the main site. So we use our Facebook page quite tactically in terms of putting information out there. is that, and so our kind of social media development has really sort of moved on quite a bit as well. You can see the bottom line there is that we're talking about something called Yopple. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Yopple. It is that Yopple is our youth-orientated website. We developed it about 4 years ago. Yopple is an island word for incessant chatter. It is that, so I didn't know, but a trivia for you. It's that, and that's where the kind of concept came from. And what we thought we'd do, we create something that was a bit more casual in its style, to engage maybe with a younger demographic, and to get people engaged with our brand. Is that in a way they might not have done with the kind of conventional CP brand, and from that they might want to go on and look at CP proper. So we've used it as a bit of an intro. We also used it in terms of some of our student community to kind of contribute material onto that particular website. So we've worked very well with some of the schools and colleges to get contributed copy, and it's been great for some of the kids to see their material going onto a proper website. Is that so we've developed Yopple and continue to develop Yopple as a brand of an aspect of County Press. But whilst our site is very, very strong in terms of news, and that's clearly a cornerstone of our particular offering, is that there's a lot more to the CP website than just news, as I'm sure you're aware. Is that I've picked sort of 3 areas here. Is that so the first site is first aspect of this is our notice site. Is that Matt is in the room here. Is that Mike runs a company called New Media Fusion. Is that so Mike has created and built that particular notice site. Is that, and that sits as part of our offering. Is that it contains around about 900 cars all the time, which are island-based cars. So if you're looking for a used car search in Isle of Wight, it's clearly a key place to go. It's supported by all the franchise dealers on the island and most of the non-franchise ones as well. In terms of property, we have the only property website which features purely and exclusively island-based properties. It's supported by all the estate agents on the island. Is that you can find that by using the property tab on the Isle of Wight County Press website, or it also works as a standalone site as well, which we call White Agents. Is that, but that's supported by all the island estate agents. And then in terms of jobs, we're obviously in print, you're used to seeing 7 or 9 pages of jobs a week in our printed format. So to kind of complement that, those jobs are also purposed online as well in our job site. Is that, but we also work closely with a couple of recruitment agencies, Pertemps and WP Recruitment, and they also add their jobs in as well, often on a daily basis. So our job site is kind of refreshed on a daily basis. So again, with the sort of rebrand and the repositioning of our own website, is that we've also developed those particular subsections as well. And what that's led to in turn, so this kind of development of technology and this kind of refreshing, it has also created new opportunities for advertisers. Is that, so we've built in some new dynamic and impactful ad positions. So you might have heard of a term called rich media. So that's kind of digital footage. Is that we can build those types of things now into adverts where we couldn't do previously. Some of the ad options that customers get now are much more dynamic and create much more opportunity than they ever used to. So there are some new ad positions, a different range of options. You'll also notice is that for those people who, when you look on are used to using websites, is that adverts now tend to appear within content. So you're reading something and an advert appears and then more content. And we've adopted a similar kind of approach with the County Press website. So ad sitting in content. We've been much more flexible in terms of scheduling of adverts. So if an advertiser buys a campaign for a period of time, doesn't mean that advert has to run at the same sort of period all the time. Is that we can concentrate those sort of impressions, so we can manipulate, if you like, in terms of when an advert gets shown. And a key benefit as well to advertisers, the fact is that to produce all these types of ideas is that we don't charge for that product, for that creativity. So from an advertiser point of view, is that with our current website, lots more opportunity to do different things, try different things, and to attract new customers. So what I'm going to do now is to pass over to Vincent. Vincent's going to introduce you to NewsQuest, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David. I'm going to move about, so you might have some difficulty.
No, you
'cause
can't
I'm
move
gonna
very
go-
far.
I'm gonna go over
I can
here,
got all that range
I'm
in
over
there. So that's
I'm not sure if my agent knows you're doing this. Just where is this going?
It's going out on Facebook Live.
Hello. Hello, world.
And I'm sure you don't have any secrets.
I have no secrets,
There we
but
go.
it is going to temper very slightly what I might say. Do you all know the county press? Are you familiar with the county press?
Yes.
I've got a slide which is all about NewsQuest, and I'm very happy to talk to you about anything that you might want to discuss today. I don't know how long we've got, David.
We've probably got about another 30 minutes.
Right. Well, I'll go through my slides quite quickly, and then you can fire questions at David and I, and I'll do my best to answer them. Before I talk about NewsQuest, I think it would be very useful for me just to talk about the county press for a little bit, because I'm not sure that everybody here fully appreciates just how marvellous, and the world out there may not know,
Absolutely, but then, you know.
the county press in print and online is. I know David covered it, but we as a business now, and I say we as in the county press, NewsQuest business, are lucky enough to publish the largest weekly newspaper in the country. It's the largest weekly newspaper in England, it's the largest weekly newspaper in Wales, in Scotland, and there's only one, although we're working on it, that's any bigger, and that's in Northern Ireland. And that's extraordinary, to have the level of support and penetration of this island is extraordinary. And on that basis, the print product, the county press, is immensely strong. And when you roll into it, 240,000 unique users, I've been told I'm not allowed to call them uniques, by one of our own crew, but we're going to call them unique users. I don't know if you know what a unique user is. Some of you know are very familiar with it, others of you might not be. But that's a device like this, coming to the county press, whether it's this or a laptop or iPad, coming to the county press and looking at our news. And we click once when they come, when you come. And then we don't click again within a certain period of time. So you might come 10, 20, 30 times a day, catching up on breaking news, but we only click you once. And then over a certain period, in this particular case, 1 month, that's the number that David gave you, 240,000 of these are coming and looking at the site. When you add that in to the penetration of the weekly paid for, the county press that hopefully all of you buy, you have phenomenal coverage, phenomenal access to this island. And I think it's more important that that is stuck in your mind rather than the next slide that I'm going to show you, which is going to come across a little bit like, you know, King Kong beating their chest, and that's the last thing in the world that I want to do. The other thing I'm going to say before I run through the slides that I'm going to talk about is just a very small bit about me, and nobody's really interested in me other than I look a bit like a monster, and I guess there's some apprehension about any changes that may be happening as a result of NewsQuest now being part of your trusted county press, and I'll do what I can to give you insight into that and how we're going to handle that. But I live just a little way away. I live on the outskirts of Poole in Dorset, just about to lose my young son to university. Unfortunately, he's 6'4", but he's still a baby to me. And I'm going to be very sad this weekend as I wave him goodbye. But I don't work in London, I'm not in some faceless city, I'm just across the water. And since the acquisition of this jewel of a newspaper publishing group, I've tried to get here once a week. I think I've succeeded all but one of those weeks, and I try and stay over, and I'm trying different hotels every time I come, so that I become a bit more of a specialist in the Isle of Wight. So I'm local, although I've got quite a large region. I'm actually heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce in the town where one of the daily newspapers are that I'm responsible for in Dorset. I'm president of the Dorset Chamber of Commerce, so I understand and appreciate working in Dorset's maybe not a rural community, but it doesn't have a mega city, it doesn't have a motorway. In many ways, its marketplace reflects the Isle of Wight, so I'm familiar with that. And I understand the importance of today. I'm also mindful of the fact that people standing up can get very boring after a while. So enough about me and the fact that I'm doing my best to learn everything that I need to know about the Isle of Wight. I'm going to have to swap places with David because I'm wider than he is, and if I have to look at that and this, there's going to be trouble. So I've got a clicker here too. Would you like to hear a little bit about NewsQuest? Are you mildly interested in NewsQuest?
Yes.
Okay, this is the beating stuff. And I would add, before going through it again, there is no paper NewsQuest owns which is as strong as the County Press. And whatever you might think about the scale of our business, we recognise that this is an exceptional market with an exceptional brand and exceptional businesses. So, but it is a big business. It's probably second or third largest publisher, whether you measure that by numbers of titles or turnover or profit margin. NewsQuest is a very large business, and it's also owned by an American giant called Gannett. And Gannett is, I think, about 6 billion market cap, or was last time I looked. And they publish more newspapers in the United States than anyone else, and they have radio stations, and they're part of a pretty big international publishing group, but the only other businesses they own are NewsQuest here. They own lots of other digital properties, as we call them, things like Rightmove and Auto Trader in the States. They have either control or pretty big interests in, and they're a very large company. And I don't talk to them from one year to the next, not because I don't like them, but because it's run in the UK. So part of a huge group, but they're very, very light touch, as hopefully NewsQuest will be in terms of dealing with the County Press, light touch. But it is big, committed to quality local journalism. There's a lot of newspapers, there's a lot of daily newspapers. There's actually a great number of weekly paid-fors, but an even bigger number of free newspapers, although they're evolving, and you'll see how that model is changing. In a slide that I've got in a minute. And it's got 30 million, that number again, unique users a month. And the uniques, it's very important that we focus on uniques, because if we throw in the page impressions, how many pages get downloaded, then the number gets almost uncontrollable. And I see a lot of my colleagues talking about web audience, putting very large numbers up, whether they are hits or page impressions or some other word I've not come across. It's the engagement with the community that is the important number, I think, for you businesses to focus on. And in terms of the County Press, we've covered 240,000 unique users a month. The 30 million that NewsQuest have is irrelevant to you unless you're trading outside the island. And if you are, we've got a network of County Press type websites. It's at iwcp.co.uk. Should have just gone with countypress.co.uk, but nonetheless. Will be a gateway, should you wish to, foray into the rest of the UK with things that I'm going to talk a little bit about more in a second. And there's some examples of some of the newspapers that we publish, and we were counting last night, but several of those are mine. Mm-hmm, yeah. More King Kong, basically. We have quite a progressive approach to publishing. We're talking about the free newspapers just now. We're committed to serving local communities. Some of the papers that I'm responsible for are frees, who have a very large free portfolio. And a few of them have had a little bit of a tweak just recently. You'll have to forgive the quality of the graphics. David and I were pulling these off last night, quite late in that storm. But we have transitioned some of our free newspapers, which were large, metropolitan, sprawling things, into more focused, blended model distribution networks, where they are part paid for, as the County Press is, and part free, and part delivered through door to door. And they have had something of a renaissance. Don't take my word for it. You'll see up in the corner that's the Times. In the Saturday Times a few months ago, they ran 4 articles about different products that just happened to be in the portfolio that I'm responsible for, saying there is a revival in print, which is somewhat in contrast to the poster that I walked into when I came to the Web Expo this morning, which said print is dead. Very large print. I don't know if you've seen it, but apparently print is dead. Not sure, keen to look after their own. They were very enamoured of some of the changes that we'd made, and we, on the previous slide, you saw one was called the Christchurch Times, which probably is not that unfamiliar to you. Christchurch on the east coast of Dorset, we relaunched as a paid-for from being a free newspaper, and it's selling 6,000 copies a week, and we're also putting out another 6,000-7,000 copies through different access points, through leafy suburbs to keep the estate agents happy, and into the sorts of places where people will want to pick up and read our products, with an element of targeting to those distribution networks. And for that one, and for one in Bournemouth, and for another one in Poole, who've gone through the same process of rejuvenating a heritage brand that used to be published, we've had quite a bit of success. The only reason why I mention it is because we're into paid for weekly newspapers, we're into frees, we're into dailies, and so there's no plans to do anything but grow and be more progressive with our new purchase asset. What will we bring? Well, David helped me write this, because apparently we're digital innovators. I'm not sure that you would concur entirely with that, but we win awards as a group for producing products which get you guys to the audience that you're trying to reach. And there is a bus on its way. Might take us a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe into next year, but what we currently offer you as a portfolio of services and facilities will be transformed. And to make that happen, I have to take David's Mary. Where's Sim? Are you here, Sim? So she's not getting the benefit of this. And the whole world is.
She can watch the replay.
She can indeed. I have to help the guys locally go through the pipeline that I've been through, trying to turn me into a digitally savvy marketeer. What we want to be are your trusted advisors, where we can offer you the expertise of people who understand what the web can bring you in terms of targeting, in terms of creativity across every platform you can imagine, from just the bald audience through to targeting within that audience, through social media, through search engine optimization, and a load of other services and bureau facilities that we'll be able to offer you. So the guys are going to be being bussed over to a sales academy, which is based in Southampton. Southampton's another business that I'm responsible for, and we've got this wonderful training set up there, and they're going to get Rolls-Royce treatment. We've already put a new, we haven't put it in yet, have we? We're in the process of putting in a new ad order entry system to the county press, which will align them with how we book business outside of the county press currently, which has a whole raft of CRM built into it, which will mean we'll understand better you, what you want, what you don't want, when you want to be contacted, when your children have got birthdays, all the important things which allow us to be a little bit more savvy in terms of how we deal with you. And we've bumped out other people in the group on the schedule of this rollout in order to bring it to the county press first. Pretty serious investment in tech. I don't know whether it's the wrong thing to say, but we were struggling putting the presentation together because there's an old version of PowerPoint on David's machine, and we've bust over, I can't remember, 80 PCs, I think, in order to upgrade what we've currently got there. And I think you'll see a change in how we communicate and in terms of the infrastructure that we have within the county press building to make us slightly more attuned to the modern way of communicating. And I've used the jargon word there, UX. Is everybody familiar with UX? It's a horrible word really, but it's user experience. And what David was talking about earlier on in terms of pre-NewsQuest purchase was already in train, and improving the user experience. So when you come and look at our products online, when you try and find something, when you use any of our advertising platforms, it should all be silky and smooth and work brilliantly. And there are some really, really strong platforms. David's already covered it, just because we're speaking to the world, and who knows, they need to know. We've got some fantastic tie-ins through the different segments, as I would call them, through motors and through property. Some brilliant way of delivering private classified advertising, all handled locally through Mike, and it works seamlessly, and we'll enhance that working with him and make it better. What's in it for you? Well, we've covered already targeted advertising. At the moment, I don't think we offer you a great deal of facilities. You know, you want to go to the people who are going to be likely to be interested in what you're selling. You're not really bothered about the other people, because that's just wastage. That's one of the very important things that we'll be tripping out to you. Better news products, better working practice. I think we've already covered that. We'll be running events. This sort of thing is absolutely brilliant, and we want to be able to take what you do here and broaden that, and also narrow it as well, and talk to specific interest groups, specific businesses about specific things. The plan is to have digital seminars so that we can help you to understand what we're able to offer. That will all be coming soon, and we'll be talking about ways for you to turn up naturally in search engine searches organically, using products that NewsQuest and Gannett have developed in the States. And there's some very interesting, very low cost ways of you improving your results in terms of Google searches using our products. Taste of things to come. Go to the people who are interested in your products, not the ones that aren't. Talking about the product that I've just mentioned, it's called Leap. Come back to that maybe at the next time we meet. Geofencing, I don't know if you're all familiar with that, but your mobile phone tells us where you are. We can put ads specifically where you are at a particular time. So if you're at a festival, we'll know that you're in one particular frame of mind, so we might sell you or allow you guys to sell to those customers a particular product, good or service. Geofencing's on its way. Native advertising you may be familiar with, but that's where we use our journalists to craft items that we run within our website environment that promote your products without it being too in your face and overtly commercial, and that works extremely well. Again, a new service. Reach Edge will be something that will turn up early in the new year, and it's an entire digital marketing solution, and it starts off by putting ads on PCs and on mobile and in print, which then leads to a lead being created. And for most SMEs, this is a particularly important part of the process, where you need to manage the people that are calling, and it built into this product for small and medium-sized SMEs. You've got a lead management system, you've got artificial intelligence saying, hello, can I help you with that inquiry and that order? And then we provide you with the sales information on the back of that, the analytics, who's done what and when, and all of this within a cost which I think will surprise you, because a monthly package starts at 99 quid that provides all of that. So today isn't the time for me to go into any detail, but please start to get mildly excited in terms of what the County Press will be bringing you going forward. So 2018 beckons smarter ways to spend your marketing budget, more dynamic ad opportunities, better digital profile and rankings. We're going to maintain everything that you have come to expect from the County Press. I'm sure you'll be putting me at the end of a pointy stick with some questions in a minute, should you wish to, and build on that. Fantastic, proud to be part of the County Press business. And I would hope that we would continue to be your trusted advisor, but with a whole new panoply of products. I think that's the last slide, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure. Look at that, end of slide. So, David and I will sit here. Should you wish to ask any questions, we're yours for as long as we've got. Have I run over, or are we doing all right?
We're okay.
Okay. Any questions? You're the politest audience I've had all week.
Just the obligatory one, I suppose, really. Is the intention for the County Press and everything to be still based here on the Isle of Wight?
Absolutely, yeah. I think there'll be lots of questions to ask. There are things that NewsQuest do currently which are different to how things are done on the island. I can't say in the medium term, but in the short term, everything that we currently do will carry on the way that it is. We wouldn't make any changes, again talking to the world, that we didn't think was in the best interests of the County Press as a business and as a product. And I'm very mindful, although I look like an elephant, that I need to tread very carefully. Your support of the brand is paramount to us, and you are very supportive, and we'll take that into consideration on any decision that we might make regarding efficiencies.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm not the business, I'm more the community. The island is supposed to is said to have as many voluntary organisations as any other part of the UK.
Yeah.
Is there a limit to the grant funding you have offered for small community projects?
You've caught me absolutely on the hop, because I'm not aware of what we currently do. And Robin, who's managing director, who's retired now, I believe, has provided me with a list of what's done where in terms of sponsorship and support. And I'm lucky in as much as I've got David and Alan Marriott, who are the local based directors. And we're also going to have a local advisory board, which is actually going to be comprising of most of the people that were on the Isle of Wight County Press Board prior to its sale.
I think not only there's to continue to support what we've always supported, but I think the Gannett Foundation thing is it will be worth sharing as well, because I think that comes into that sector.
Well, just finishing the point, the local advisory board will be made up of the previous directors, certainly for the next 6 meetings that we're going to be having, and they're going to keep a watchful eye and give us insight as to us being NewsQuest, whether what we're doing is the right thing or whether or not we're going down the wrong tributary. So firstly, I'm not entirely sure what we currently do, so forgive me. Secondly, we're going to take as much soundings as we can from the editor, Alan Marriott, under David's local knowledge. And thirdly, we've got the local advisory board also to help us out. I can't be any more helpful than that. If you've got anything specific which you're concerned about, whatever group that might be, then please write to me and I'll do my best to give you a straight answer. And David's just alluded to the Gannett Foundation. A certain percentage of Gannett's not inconsiderable profits are put back into the communities in which those businesses operate. And every year the editors in all of NewsQuest sites send off requests for worthy charitable institutions that are based very locally for grants, and every year money comes back, and there are, well, large sums. Given that I'm going out to the world, I probably better not say, but there are some grants that are eye-wateringly large, and others which might be 300 quid for a kayak. And all the editors set out their stall, ask for the cash, and then somebody somewhere in the States says, that's a good one, that's also a good one, but we're not going to do that one this year. And so we get a list coming back, and I'm not sure what the scale will be in terms of the Isle of Wight, but it'll be well worth having the grant funding that will come back. So watch this space and send off your applications to Alan saying, I understand there's a Gannett Foundation, I want all the money, please.
What I'm going to do is that we carried an article on it about 3 weeks ago, so I'll take your details after the meeting and I can forward you that article and you can see the piece. So, another question over here?
Oh, is your Leap product a piece of software that you've written or required, or is it a sort of a package of advice?
Gannett own quite a number of digital businesses. Reach Local, I referred to Reach Edge just now, and that's a product within a Reach Local portfolio, is a huge international digital marketing agency. This product, Leap, is different. Leap is, it was a startup somewhere in America, and I can't remember where, that grew to a pretty significant scale and was bought by Gannett last year or the back end of the previous year. And what it is in simple terms is you buy an ad with a print product, whether that's the county press or wherever, and within that ad you have put a certain amount of data. That will be your address, maybe a website, the types of product that you're selling. Leap is a software algorithm which runs over that printed ad that we've set, extracts all of the information that makes the ad visible to Google, but it does a lot more than that. If you haven't got certain data that is accessible, they'll go to your website and pull that data out and make little pockets within what they produce, which is a landing page with all of the things which Google robots, the current Google search protocols will spot. So You buy an ad in the county press, whatever that is, we charge you a very modest sum of money, and for that we create this landing page which has got everything embedded in it, which is visible to Google. It will pull in stuff which you haven't got in the ad. It might even send an email to us to say, could you ask the client if they've got so-and-so, and then they'll add that in as well. And then that page goes out and exists in the ether on the internet. And when someone searches for something that relates to that which you have, it will start to move up in the organic rankings. And the page is visible, it's got a URL, you can go and look at it. It looks like gibberish, but it is out there, and there is a web address for it. But because it's linked back through to the county press, which if you put anything in about Isle of Wight news, the county press will come up, because it's undeniably the source of news that everyone trusts here. And that also gives you or your business that has used this product, Leap, a much, much higher credibility factor. So what happens over a period of 3 to 6 months, first couple of months it's sort of getting up to speed, but over 3 to 6 months you'll find that you'll move from wherever you are. I can't guarantee that you're going to be on the first page, but an awful lot of businesses manage to achieve that depending on how active they are in terms of social media and web presence. So as a one-stop shop for sorting out your business's SEO, it's a very good place to start. And typically a digital marketing agency would charge you at least 10 times what we bundle into an ad. And come January, I guess, maybe a little before, David's very keen to start selling it now, and you can, but we've just got to make sure that we all understand it. You'll be given an option that for an extra X, you can have this Leap product applied to the ad that you bought in the county press. And on the mainland, 90% of businesses take it every time. And every time you take it, it just adds a little bit more to that weight of moving you through those ranking results. It's probably the most used, simplest, one-stop solution for you sorting out your SEO requirements. And you're all familiar with what I mean by SEO, turning up naturally when someone puts search terms in for a particular item that might relate to any of your products. And that's where it's at, because Google AdWords are so last year. Nobody reads them, I don't know whether you guys do, but you get all these ads and you just skip them. What you want is natural search result without someone having paid for it. And you can get that by being savvy, use the credibility of the county press, which is, their reputation is unassailable as far as Google are concerned, and I think this is somebody going to drag me off. You can use the county press's credibility in order to write on the back of that for your businesses. Are we all done now? Is that it? We've run out of time. So sorry, we've got to go.
Yeah, well, Chris, one question.
Yeah.
It sounds
Thanks,
like
Dave.
from your presentation, the way you answered that lady's question there, that you're moving the counter press, or perhaps augmenting the counter press into more of a digital agency style, and you're going to be monetizing the user base and the knowledge you've got and all the information you've gathered over many years. And if you're moving into the kind of digital agency with a set of products, those would sound like they're going to be delivered by, using your own words, a huge agency in the States. And I do take issue with some of your SEO statements you made there. You're not talking about SEO for businesses, you're talking about SEO for an advert on the Isle of Wight County Press's site, which is great, no problem with that. But this sounds like more of a digital agency kind of thing.
Okay.
Although you're going to be keeping the county press as is, obviously, but I understand you're taking everything that you've got and you're going to be monetising and adding value and more products and digital products. And is that where this is your head open together?
There's so many questions in there, I'm going to struggle to get back to all of them.
Are you just going to be a digital agency offering digital solutions to businesses on the island?
Certainly not in anything like the way that you're suggesting.
Okay.
You accused me of saying something, and we ought to, given that the world's watching, we ought to just say that bit again, because I've forgotten what you accused me of, and I ought to try and straighten it out.
An accusation, it's more of a question of picking you up on some of the SEO.
Yeah, there was something else before that as well. I can't remember. If you think of it, then let's deal with it later. The most important thing is where we started from. The county press is the largest selling, best weekly newspaper in the UK, according to the people who are supporting it and shelling out the cash to buy it every week. I mean, we would be not foolish, but idiotic to do anything that would hamper that. Nothing that we are doing in terms of offering businesses like you guys gathered here, something which augments that. What we want is to offer a modern suite of services, and the county press is in a very different place from an awful lot of other newspapers on the mainland, in as much as they don't have the level of penetration, they don't have the readership qualities that the county press have. So we're not trying to accelerate any decline, but print is declining. It's declining worldwide, and you guys, I think, are probably more excited about us talking about ways that you can reach our audience, which is the biggest audience on the island bar none, by some magnitude, in a very highly targeted, focused way. So about destination DMS, which is digital marketing solutions or digital marketing services, yes, that's every regional print newspaper publisher's goal, and we're a multimedia publisher in NewsQuest. I remember what it was that you said, this enormous agents in the States. Yeah, I'm not sure they were entirely like that, but perception is everything. Leap was a small startup company that became quite large, and they've produced this algorithm which we now own, and we are using that for you guys to turn an ad you place with us into a landing page which Google sees, which helps you with your SEO. Is that a better way of saying it?
Yeah, just you can kind of sort of, it's an enormous thing in the States. It's kind of right. I've got a hello world again. I've got to be very careful. I'm just a bum, you know. They bust me in for the day. I don't know what I'm talking about. You've just seen straight through me. That product is huge. In print media, it's allowed very simple, small business print publishers to be able to offer a service which is a digital service. And it's the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we're able to do. Watch this space. Come to the next digital seminar. I'll have an expert here. We can shoot lasers through them. My purpose today is to try and whet your appetite for the things that are coming. And you know, no, we are not going to forget that the county press is the best, without doubt, paid-for weekly newspaper in the UK, barring one in Ireland. But we will be sweating the asset, which is, you know, you, our audience, and everybody else here, who seem to think that we are fantastic. And arguably, we've underclubbed how fantastic we are. And I'm vulgar and loud and commercial, and so I'm going to be, you know, saying, look guys, look at all these people, and we don't have to take the global audience, we can just take the people who are interested in aqualungs, and we can fire our ad pretty accurately at the people who are interested in aqualungs through these products, Leap being one of them, but there's a whole raft more I could tell you about, that allow us a level of targeting which is untypical, because most websites don't have the facilities that ours do, and we'll talk about that at the next digital meeting. Make sure you come.
And if not, they can watch on the replay.
They could, yes. I'm very, very worried about this. I can't begin to tell you how worried I am. We've got time for one more, is that it?
We are just under 20 minutes
Right,
now to
well,
the next seminar. I'm sure everybody would like to thank Vincent and David for a really interesting seminar today. And the Isle of Wight County Press have a stand just inside, or the first stand in the Oyster Room. So I'm sure if you have more questions, you can see the guys then. You're not disappearing, are you, straight away?
I'm not disappearing.
I'm sure you'd be happy to take more questions.
Very
then,
happy,
but I'm
and
afraid we have to get ready for the next
Thank you so
seminar.
much.
So thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed that, folks, and this was brought to you courtesy of It's Nomad 9, a digital media agency that puts social at the heart.